Okay, thank you, sir. Done.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Right. So, friends, now look at the first slide here. Right. Now we have to explain this in examination perspective. Already I've told you. Now the every organism like a human or a dog or a plant made up of different organ systems like systems, circulatory system, muscular system, skeletal system, urinary system, nervous system, like that. This system made up of different organs: lungs, heart, bones, muscle, etc. Okay, these organs made up of tissue. Yeah? This tissue made up of cell. Now you should understand what is cell. When you are writing exam, you should type what is cell. Okay? Cell is the smallest unit, a functional unit of every organism. Clear? Cell is the smallest unit and functional unit of every organism. Next, there are two types. One is eukaryotic cell, another one is prokaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell found in plants and animals. Prokaryotic cells found like bacteria and microorganisms. These all called prokaryotic cell. The main difference between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell, this eukaryotic cell has membrane-bound organelles inside, like nucleus, mitochondria, etc. Prokaryotic cell does not have this kind of any membrane-bound organelles. They are usually unicellular organism, and they have no nucleus inside. Okay, so irrespective of any type of cell, they have common things. One is cell membrane, another one is cytoplasm, that one is DNA. These three things always there in any type of cells. Okay, good. Now, cell membrane. Cell membrane is a outer covering of a cell. It is a phospholipid bilayer. Okay, it is semi-permeable membrane which allows very few important particles to inside the cell and allow to exit some particles from outside of the cell. Okay, the cell membrane is a membrane, phospholipid bilayer, semi-permeable. Semi-permeable means only limited things can go enter, or limited things can exit from the cell. Okay, good. Now, this inside the cell membrane, we have a fluid called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a jelly-like structure, or jelly-like a liquid inside the cell membrane. Now you should understand, plasm means liquid. Always you remember this word, plasm. Wherever you find this word plasm, it is liquid. Cyto means site, C-Y-T-E, site. Site means cell. Cytoplasm in the sense here, cell liquid, right? Cytoplasm, right? The cytoplasm, this cytoplasm contains many, many organelles suspended in the cytoplasm. Organelles, what is organelles? Organelle is a small organ. We may call it as a small organ or a tiny structure suspended in the cytoplasm. The tiny structure suspended in the cytoplasm. Sometimes they used to call cytosol, right? And each organelles perform a separate function, a specific function, and they have some kind of internal function too, right? Good. So some organelles, examples for some organelles: nucleus, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and Golgi apparatus. Okay, these are some types of, or some examples for the organelle. Right. Now we are going to talk about the largest organelle inside the cell. It is called nucleus. This nucleus is a control center of the cell. And this nucleus contains nucleoplasm. And in the nucleoplasm, we can found DNA. DNA is a deoxyribonucleic acid. It's a genetic materials. Contains entire. It's a blueprint. Contains entire information about us, about the organism. Okay, it's a genetical materials. That DNA dictates the cell what to do, what not, how to do the things to done. Okay, and during normal time, this DNA in the form of chromatin. It's like a thread-like or tangled inside the nucleoplasm, inside the nuclear membrane, in the form of chromatin. That form is called chromatin. But this chromatin, just before the division of the cell, condensed and form the chromosomes. You know very well, human somatic cell contains 23 pairs of chromosomes, 23 pairs. That means total number somatic cells contains 46 numbers. 23 pairs means two set, one from the mother, one from the father side, one set from the mother side, one set from the father side. Okay, these all something related to the nucleus. Right. The previous picture, you may not draw those kind of picture in examination. You can draw this kind of picture like this, what I show in this slide, in two-dimensional picture. It is easy for you to draw and mark or label all the organelles inside the cell. Sometimes they may ask questions, draw a neat structure of cell and label all the organelles and explain about the functions of different organelles like that. Okay. Look at this picture. This is the picture, easy to draw and easy to mark all the organelles. Right. Now again the nucleus. The nucleus also contains nucleolus. This part is called nucleolus. And this is the production site of ribosome. Okay, ribosome is another kind of molecule produced by the nucleus. This ribosome take a role of synthesizing protein. Nothing synthesizing means makes or produce proteins. Okay, this released ribosomes enters here in the cytosol and float around the cytoplasm. You can find this ribosome in the even the mitochondria, and most of the ribosomes are attached to the ER. ER in the sense here, endoplasmic reticulum. Organelles inside the cell. This is called ER, endoplasmic reticulum. This endoplasmic reticulum abbreviated usually ER. Okay, now nucleus. Nucleus contains nucleolus and produces ribosome. This ribosome synthesizing the protein, and this ribosome found in the cytoplasm and attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Right, this endoplasmic reticulum, look at this. This is endoplasmic reticulum. There are two types here: rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum or rough ER, where this ribosome attached to it. If you're able to find ribosome attached to this endoplasmic reticulum, that particular part of the endoplasmic reticulum is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. Some part of the endoplasmic reticulum does not attach to the ribosomes. Those areas are called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The main function of this endoplasmic reticulum, transporting materials such as protein. The transportation, it's a sac-like a structure, network structure, suspended in the cytoplasm. Mainly they used to transport the proteins produced by the ribosomes. Okay, protein emerges from ER in a small vesicles. Okay, vesicles. These are this kind of vesicles. Vesicle means a small bubble-like a structure inside the cell. They are coming out from the endoplasmic reticulum. Right. Those vesicles contains protein released by the endoplasmic reticulum, received by this another important organelle called Golgi apparatus. Gamilo Golgi, who found this particular organelles inside the cell, so it is named after him. Okay, Golgi is Italian scientist, Golgi. It is named after him because he found that the Golgi apparatus receives the vesicles, and the protein moves through the Golgi apparatus. This is the Golgi apparatus where this protein vesicle received from the endoplasmic reticulum goes through inside and customizing this Golgi apparatus, customizing it, reshape it, fold it as usable for the cell. So cell can use some kind of enzymes, some kind of hormones, some kind of tiny molecules can be used. Okay, those things are customized by this particular Golgi apparatus. Okay, and this also add this protein with the lipids. Lipids, nothing but some kind of fat molecule and carbohydrate. Sometimes you might have heard about these words: lipoproteins, glycoproteins. Lipoproteins means protein plus lipids. Glycoproteins, glyco means carbohydrate, protein means another protein molecules. Okay, this adding process held here in the Golgi apparatus. Right, we move on to the next. Right. So another important structure inside this cell, lysosome. This lysosome contains, this is lysosome. You can see here. This is lysosome. This lysosome contains digestive enzymes. Mostly they involves in the breaking down the cellular debris. Some waste products inside are digested inside and thrown out of this extracellular. Okay, and the digestive enzyme also kills the viruses and bacteria that enters into the cell. That process is called, the killing of bacteria and the virus is called phagocytosis. Phagocytosis. I'll show you in the next slide. Phagocytosis. Once the bacterium enters inside the cell, that the bacterium or viruses are killed by the enzyme inside the lysosome. That process is called phagocytosis. Sometimes you may have heard this word, or sometimes they may ask you in 5 marks what is phagocytosis. Now look at this second slide, phagocytosis. Here you can see this small pictorial illustration. This bacterium goes inside, and this lysosome takes inside this digestive enzymes, digest that bacterium after it destroying all the bacterium and throws out of extracellular, right? Exocytosis, that is called exocytosis. Okay, and the main function of the lysosome here kills bacteria and viruses, and also worn out cells are digested here. Good. Now we move on to the mitochondria. There is another important organelle in the cell. Mitochondria. It is a powerhouse of cell. Okay, involves the main function of the mitochondria is here cellular respiration. Nothing but breakdown of the larger energy molecules into the smaller molecules. This is called with the help of oxygen. This process takes place inside the mitochondria. So they produces at the end of this cellular respiration, they produces energy. That energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Okay, it is a molecule that breaks down and releases the energy. Okay, the entire activity, cellular activities need many number of energy. Those energies are produced by this mitochondria. All the cellular activities depends on the energy. This energy, fetched from this mitochondria. Clear? So if you write under the mitochondria, main thing, it is a powerhouse of cell, involves in the cellular respiration. Cellular respiration, nothing but breaks down of the molecules, energy molecules into the smaller particles and getting ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and this ATP gives energy to all cellular activities. Okay, more number of mitochondria means that cell contains more number of energy molecules. Right. Finally, in the final slide, you can see here, this there is another structure, because you can see there is different shapes. Each cells has different shape. If you look at the red blood cells, it's flat in nature. If you look at this nervous tissue, like neuron, it is star-like a structure. Or if you look at this white blood cells, it's like a globe-shaped structure. These structure are maintained by another small thread-like structure called cytoskeleton. It's a fibrous tissue, try to maintain the shape of the cell. Okay, it's a microfilament, sometimes they used to say, made up of some proteins, maintain the cell shape. Those things are called cytoskeleton. Okay, so between the nuclear membrane to cell membrane, there is an area. That area contains the cytoplasm. That area is called cytosol. Okay, these are something related to the cell. How to write the answer in the examination if they ask you draw a neat structure of cell and their function. Okay, I'll show you some slide. I mean some on video. You can see that. Can move in waves. Right. Right. Do you have any doubts, Madam? Madam, could you open that link? Right. If you have any doubt, you can ask.
Thank you so much for the video, sir. Devi Bala here.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Only some UG students have difficulty in understanding. Okay. Some other background. This is only 7th standard materials. What I'm showing you, it's only 7th standard material. Okay. So, however, any doubt you can ask because you need to clarify. Yeah.
Felix, sir,
Yes.
can you have the chat box open all the time?
Because a lot of things pouring in, but we cannot see it. People are considering that one. Okay. Now you can. We'll give you some time to ask. Okay. Question.
Right? Video, right? You played the video, there was no audio in it.
Okay. Then you wanted to see one more time in the 7 more minutes. Okay. I'll show you one more time with video. Okay.
It was in the WhatsApp group, that video link.
Yeah. It is readily available in YouTube. Look at that. I'll show you again that in nucleus media. Okay. It is nucleus media. If your cell anatomy, if you type cell anatomy, it will be displayed in the first itself. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Right. On to the next topic here. Right, look at that. Cell over. Now we move on to the tissue. cell. The overview of cell already you have seen in video. Now we move on to the tissue. What is a tissue? Tissue group of cells perform a specific function. A similar cells, a similar function. That's the thing you have to remember. Similar cell and similar function. Okay, that means heart has the cardiac tissue, bone has a bone tissue, and brain and other brain and nervous system has nervous tissue that is called neuron, and other internal organs like intestine made up of smooth tissues, or muscle or muscular tissues. Like the different number of tissues are there. Right. Simple to write. What is tissue? Tissue is a group of similar cells and does a similar function. Okay. There are many number of tissues. We cannot remember those things, but these number of tissues are classified into based on their function. They classify into in the following way. One is epithelial tissue used for the protection purposes. Second thing is muscular tissue used for movement and the locomotion of the body and other structure. Third, connective tissue. Connective tissue involves in the connecting function. Okay. The fourth one is nervous tissue, giving main function of the nervous tissue, transmission of nerve signals, nerve impulses. Okay, these are four types: epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, and the nervous tissue. Right. Epithelial tissue. Already I told you epithelial tissue involves in the protection mainly, and they forms in the cavity in a thin line. Okay. Epi means outer or above. Okay. Epi means outer layer usually. Okay. This forms in the cavity or just gives protection to the any vital organs outside of the vital organs, giving a line or coating to the vital organs in order to protect the sensitivity of that vital organs. Okay, give protection, and this involves also absorption. Absorption means if whatever you are eating, it goes into the intestine, and main nutrients are absorbed. This absorption function performed by this kind of epithelial tissue, and some area, endocrine glands has this kind of epithelial tissue that secretes like hormone or enzymes or other chemicals, and this also involves in the filtration. These based on this function, those kind of tissues are classified as the epithelial tissue. Right? Good. This tissue classified into two. One is simple epithelial tissue, another one is stratified epithelial tissue. Simple to remember here, it's a thin line or coating in the cavities or over the vital organs. Okay? Mainly involves in the protection and as well as secretion, absorption. Right? These cells, epithelial tissue, is two category. One is simple epithelial tissue, another one is stratified. Simple means, remember here, single layer. If you look at this first thing, it's a single layer. Okay, single layer means one layer, and only one set of cells are arranged. 1, 2, 3. So only one layer on the single basement membrane. If it is a single layered cell, it is called simple epithelial tissue. Whereas in the next picture here, stratified, more than one layer. This is one layer, this is a second layer, there's a third layer, fourth layer, like that. If it is more than one layer, those epithelial tissue are classified as the stratified epithelium. You know what is stratified? Okay, one, another, right? It's a stratified epithelium. Simple epithelial tissue in a single layered form in a single basement membrane. Look at this here, right? Good. These were two important classification of epithelial. Simple epithelial tissue. Another one is stratified epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissue in a single layered cell. Stratified epithelial tissue is a more than one layered cell in a single basement membrane, right? Good. Now you can see that based on the shape of the cell, forget about the simple or stratified. Based on the shape of the cell, this epithelial tissue given some names here. Simple squamous epithelium. Simple means a single layer. Squamous means a flat structure, and the cell looks like a flat, like a tiles or like a mosaic. This kind of shape is called squamous. So these particular cells are called simple squamous epithelium. Some air sac or in the inner lining of your mouth, these all called simple squamous epithelial tissue. You can see other function and their location, right? Second type is a cuboidal, cube-shaped epithelial cells, cube shape. That's what named simple cuboidal epithelium. Simple means a single layer cuboidal epithelium. Okay, they found in ducts, secretory portions. Mainly, most of the endocrine glands contains this kind of cuboidal epithelium that secretes many hormones, many enzymes, and many chemical molecules. They involves in the mainly secretion and absorption. And columnar. Columnar means pillar like a tall like a structured cell called columnar epithelial tissue. The cells looks like a tall structure, like a column, like a pillar. So that named as columnar epithelium. Okay. This always involves in the absorption in the intestines. Now look at this, the top here. If you look at the videos, the last final part, the special structures here, like a hair-like structure, it's called cilia. If cilia is present in the columnar epithelial tissue, it's a ciliated columnar epithelial tissue. Okay, good. This is another category. I mean another type. The fourth one is called pseudo-stratified. See, already I told you, simple epithelial means a single layer. Stratified means more than one layer. But this pseudo-stratified, it looks like a stratified epithelial tissue, but actually it is a simple epithelium, but looks like a stratified epithelium. So that they named as pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. It's only one layer, but the shape, different shapes makes or appears like a stratified epithelium. So they named as pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. Here you should remember here two types of epithelial tissue. One is simple epithelium. Second one is stratified epithelium. Based on the shape of the cell, they named squamous, cuboidal, columnar, and pseudo-stratified. If it is a single layer, simple columnar epithelium. Or if it is stratified columnar epithelium. These are some types of epithelial tissue. Clear? Right. Any doubts? You can ask now. Do you have any doubts? You can ask regarding this.
Sir, Devi Bala here.
Yes.
Something about celiac. What is it, celiac, sir?
Cilia, C-I-L-I-A. Cilia means a small hair-like structure over the cell. Okay, very minute, tiny structure. Okay, I'll show you again that video. At the end of the video, you could see that one. Okay, the cilia that helps in transportation of some materials to push the molecules into some area they uses. Okay, mainly in the respiratory tract and some other area you can find the cilia. If the columnar cell has that small tiny structure, hair-like structure, that is called ciliated columnar epithelium.
Okay, so I thought it is something related. There is some disease called celiac disease, right, sir? Have you heard of it?
Yes, that is related to cilia only, but that sometimes allergic nature, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So that cilia relate some dust particle or something is going and disturbing in the sense here. That allergic of things may be possible. Okay, I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. You should remember that one. Okay?
Yeah, please. But you're doing excellent job. Thank you for that, sir. Thank you.
Any other question?
No, sir.
Right. Simple epithelium, stratified epithelium. Only difference single layer, more than one layer, based on the shape. Squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. These things you have to remember and look at the function. You can take some other net also. You can find this thing. Okay, good. We move on to the next type of tissue. Muscular tissue. Okay, this muscular tissue involves in the movement and locomotion. Okay, movement and locomotion. If anything needs to move or we need to move from one place to other place, this particular tissue should work. Okay, these tissues are classified into three important category. One is the middle. You can see here skeletal muscle. Okay, skeletal muscle. You know what is skeleton? Why they call the skeletal muscle? Because this muscle attached to the bones, so that it is classified as a skeletal muscle. Okay, both end of the muscle attached to here. You can see this is this particular bicep attached to this here with the bone, and this part bottom is radial ulnar bone attached to this bicep. Okay, so that it is called skeletal muscle. Sometimes they term this as a striated muscle. This kind of small striation you can see, so that it is named as a striated muscle. These muscles are voluntary muscles. Okay, at our will they'll come to our help. Okay, they won't work their own, but whenever we need to move, make a contraction, that will do that one. It's a voluntary muscle. Now you should remember skeletal muscle, voluntary muscle, or striated muscles, all are same. Okay, these muscles found most of the our body. Like anywhere if you can touch and feel it, bicep, tricep, chest muscles, okay, thigh muscles, quadriceps, hamstring muscles, calf muscles, gastrocnemius muscles, all these muscles comes under the skeletal muscular tissue. So another specialized type is called cardiac muscle tissue. That is called cardiac tissue. Only found in the heart. Remember, only found in the heart. They are very similar to the skeletal muscle, but there is one other interskeletal disc. There is one another property, interskeletal disc. Okay, that is not present in the skeletal muscle, but that present in this cardiac muscle, because this cardiac function later you can understand how the cardiac cardiac cycle takes place. In that mainly involves in the cardiac cycle. It's a delayed contraction. Sometimes we used to call delayed contraction, not one contraction. Those thing is not available in this skeletal muscle. So that interskeletal disc, very similar to the cardiac muscle, very similar to the skeletal muscle. Okay. Another type is called smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is a spindle-like structure found in many internal organs like stomach, intestines. These all made up of some smooth muscles. Look at the structure. They may ask you what is the structure? Spindle-shaped, striated muscles or non-striated muscle. This is non-striated muscle. Okay, because we cannot find any this kind of strips like lines, so non-striated, no striation, so that they call this as smooth, looking like a smooth nature. Okay, good. Now look at this here. The shape you should write is anatomy deals with the structure. So whenever you write something, you should talks about the anatomy structure of the particular part or organ or that particular thing, right? Here, spindle shaped, uninucleated fibers. What is a uninucleated means? There will be only one nucleus inside, forms in the internal organs, and they are involuntary because they don't wait for our command, right? Whenever you eat, stomach does that function without our command. Okay, automatically that function happens. Like lungs, automatically they functions. They never stops, never wait for our command. Whereas in this skeletal muscle, they may not work. Okay, whenever we need, they'll contract, right? Same like this smooth muscle, cardiac muscle also involuntary. Remember, right? Any doubts in this classification of muscular tissue? Any doubts here? Only the UG people. உங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கும், பட் பாத்துக்கோங்க அது எப்படி இருக்குன்னு. ஏதாவது டவுட் இருந்தா மட்டும் கேளுங்க. Right. The third type is connective tissue. This function is connecting function. Mainly this involves in the connecting function. The number of connective tissues, bone, ligament, tendon, and blood. This all comes under the connective tissue. Now look at these types here. Little complicated thing, but you should learn it. And very simple to understand here. They are doing connecting function. Whatever name connective, loose connective tissue or dense connective tissue, or regular connective tissue, or something cartilage, bone, whatever name it has. The thing is, they are all they do is connecting function. Okay, the main broad category here, connective tissue proper and connective tissue improper. This improper comes under two heading. One is supporting connective tissue, another fluid connective tissue. Connective tissue proper. Look at this here. The main function of the connective tissue is binding, supporting, and giving structure. Okay, binding in the sense attaching one part to other part here. That is called connective function and binding function. This binding function does the binding function. Mostly this connective tissue proper involves. Okay, connective tissue proper, like a muscle bundle, another muscle bundle connected together, fascia. Right. So another thing is called our skin connected with the underlying structure. That underlying structure connected by the adipose tissue. Here you can see the adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is nothing but the fat layer of the our fat tissue. Adipose tissue is a fat tissue, like areolar tissue, reticular tissue. These all does the connecting one structure to another structure. Okay, in dense connective tissue, we can find regular, irregular, and elastic connective tissues. These things are made up of some fibers, the collagen fibers. They used to say elastic fibers, collagen fibers, like that they used to say, right? The other thing, other supporting or minimizing the injury things, this is called cartilage, and it's a soft nature, like your earbud. If you're touching earbud or the front of the nose, you can see like a bone like a structure. Those all called cartilages. This also connecting connective tissue. Usually in the top of the bones, usually this located in order to soften the impact. And another fluid connective tissue is a blood. Blood is a connective tissue. In the tissue in the form of fluid. Right, you can see here. Collagen fibers, here you can see here. And this is adipose tissue, all fat cells. This is blood. Blood has a lot of cells here, white blood cells, red blood cells. There's a liquid form of connective tissue. This is a bone also connective tissue. This is called a tendon and a ligament. Already that teacher itself told you what is tendon and what is ligament. Ligament is another jelly-like structure or a very hard structure connecting bone to bone. But a tendon connecting the muscle to the bone. There is another cord kind of or like a wire kind of things that connecting the muscle to the bone. That's a tendon. Sometimes they ask you what is ligament, what is tendon. These both comes under the connective tissue. Right. Any doubts here? Connective tissue. Right. We move on to the nervous tissue. Okay. Nervous tissue is a specialized tissue found in the brain and the nervous system and the spinal cord. They involves the main important thing. I think someone is using annotated. Someone, maybe host. Right. Brain, spinal cord, and nerves are made up of this nervous tissue. The tissue is not nervous, but sometimes they used to call neural tissue. Now they change the term neural tissue, not nervous tissue. Okay. So they forms the communication network, mainly transmitting the nerve impulses in the form of electrical signals and conducting electrical signals from one organ to other tissue, one tissue to other tissue. So muscular tissue to brain, this transmitted from through the nervous tissue. Right, the main function of the nervous tissue. In nervous system, you learn more about this. In nervous system, you learn more about this nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is made up of the cells called neuron. This is called neuron. Neuron is a basic structure of the nervous tissue. It's a cell. Cell body is a star-like structure. The same properties what cell has, here you can find it. Same properties. Nucleus will be there. Mitochondria is there. lysosome and everything. But other structure here, the star-like structure here, that is called dendrites, the branches of dendrites. And this tail part is called axon. Tail part is called axon. And over it, we can see some myelin sheath. It's not present now. Myelin sheath here. Okay, this is the main structure of the nervous tissue. The basic unit of the nervous tissue is called neuron. Don't forget what is neuron. Sometimes we ask you what is neuron. Neuron means it's a nerve cell. You can say simple one-word answer. Neuron means nerve cell, right? This dendrites attached to another neuron here. Likewise, right? Right. Any doubt? Do you have any doubt? Do you have any doubt? Easy to understand. Most of the PG students, it is very easy, but mainly I'm focusing on the UG students.
Sir, this
Yes.
is Sripriya.
Yes, yes.
Last end of section is நீங்க சொல்லி முடிக்கும் போது எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் தமிழ்ல சொல்ல
தமிழ்ல
முடியுமா?
சொல்றேன் உங்களுக்கு நிச்சயமா சொல்றேன். உங்களுக்கு இதுல இதுவரை ஏதாவது புரிஞ்சா, பழசுல ஏதாவது உங்களுக்கு டவுட் இருக்கா? இதுல இது வந்து நியூரான்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. பேர் வந்து நியூரான். இதை நீங்க தமிழ்ல படிக்க முடியாது. தமிழ்ல இங்கிலீஷ்ல தான் எழுதி ஆகணும். ஓகேவா?
Okay, sir.
இந்த நியூரான்ங்கிறது வந்து பிரெயின் செல்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. இந்த பிரெயின்ல இருக்கிறதுல நர்வஸ் டிஷ்யூ, பிரெயின் மேட் அப் ஆஃப் நர்வஸ் டிஷ்யூ. அதுல அதோட சின்ன பார்ட் இருக்குல்ல, அந்த பேசிக் யூனிட்னு சொல்லுவாங்க அது இல்லையா? அது என்டையர் பிரெயின் மேட் அப் ஆஃப் திஸ் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் செல்ஸ். அந்த செல்லோட பேரை வந்து நியூரான்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஓகேவா? அது மெயினா எதுல எல்லாம் இன்வால்வ் ஆகுது அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, நர்வ் இம்பல்சஸ். ஒரு இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் நம்ம ஏதாவது ஒரு ஹார்ட் திங்ஸ், இஃப் யூ டச்சிங் ஹார்ட், இட் இஸ் ஹார்ட்ங்கிற ஒரு இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் நம்ம பிரெயினுக்கு போகணும். அந்த பிரெயின் வில் கிவ் அஸ் இன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன் டு டேக் ஆஃப் அவர் ஹேண்ட் இல்லையா? இந்த இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் டிரான்ஸ்மிட் த்ரூ தி நர்வ்ஸ். தட் ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் எல்லாம் எங்க நடக்குதுன்னா நர்வஸ் டிஷ்யூல, நர்வஸ் சிஸ்டம்குள்ள நடக்குது. இதான் அதுல இருக்கிற ஒரு சின்ன ஐடியா இன் தமிழ்.
Thank you, sir.
பழசுல உங்களுக்கு சொல்லணும்னா அதை பார்த்தா கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூங்கிறது கனெக்டிங் ஃபங்க்ஷன் பண்ணும். அது ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் இன்னொரு ஸ்ட்ரக்சரோட கனெக்ட் பண்றதுக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணும். அது அதான் கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூ. நிறைய டைப்ஸ் இருக்குது. அந்த டைப்ஸ் பொறுத்தவரையும் இந்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டிஸ் பேஸ்ட் ஆன் இட்ஸ் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி நிறைய இருக்கும். அதுக்குள்ள லூஸ் கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூன்னு இருக்கும், டென்ஸ் கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூன்னு இருக்கும். ஓகேவா? இப்போ வந்து நம்ம ஸ்கின் வந்து கீழே இருக்கு, அதுக்கும் கீழே இருக்கிற இன்னொரு அண்டர்லைன் ஸ்ட்ரக்சரோட ஒட்டி இருக்குது இல்லையா? பைண்ட் பண்ணி இருக்குது. அந்த பைண்டிங் ஃபங்க்ஷனை பண்றது ஒரு கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூ. அதுக்கு பேர் வந்து ஏரியோலார் டிஷ்யூன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. சில இடத்துல அடிப்போஸ் டிஷ்யூன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. சம் ஸ்கின் சிலருக்கு வந்து ஃபேட் கண்டுபிடிக்கும் போது பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஸ்கின்னை ஃபோல்ட் பண்ணி கையில பிடிச்சு பார்ப்பாங்க, கேலிப்பர் மாதிரி. பாத்தீங்களா? சிலருக்கு திக்கா பிடிப்பாங்க, சிலருக்கு தின்னா பிடிப்பாங்க. திக்கா இருக்கவங்களுக்கு என்ன இருக்கும்னா மோர் ஃபேட் லேயர் இருக்கும். அந்த லேயருக்கு பேர் வந்து அடிப்போஸ் டிஷ்யூன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஓகேவா? அது மாதிரி பைண்டிங் ஃபங்க்ஷனை பண்ணும். போன் எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா சப்போர்ட்டிங் ஃபங்க்ஷன் பண்ணும். ஒரு இடத்துல இருந்து இன்னொரு இடத்துல போன் வந்து சப்போர்ட் பண்ணும். அதே மாதிரி பிளட் எடுத்துச்சுன்னா இட் டிராவல்ஸ் டிரான்ஸ்போர்ட்டிங் எவ்ரிதிங் ஃப்ரம் ஒன் பார்ட் டு அதர் பார்ட். அதனாலதான் அது கனெக்டிங் ஃபங்க்ஷன் பண்றதுனால போன் and blood also comes under the connective tissue. Okay, another structure is called cartilage. Cartilage எங்க இருக்குன்னா போனோட டாப்ல மேல இருக்கும். நான் காட்டுற பின்னாடி போன் இருக்கும்போது, ஸோ அது வந்து அந்த நம்மளோட ஹார்ட் இம்பாக்ட் எல்லாம் இருக்கிறதுக்கு கொஞ்சம் ஒரு குஷன் எஃபெக்ட் கொடுக்கறதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம் அந்த கார்டிலேஜ்ங்கிறது. நம்மளோட காது இல்லாட்டி மூக்கோட அந்த ஃப்ரண்ட் போர்ஷன் எல்லாம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு போன் லைக் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர், ரொம்ப ஃபிளெக்சிபிளா இருக்கும். those parts are called cartilage, right?
Okay sir, ரொம்ப thanks.
Right, I hope UG students okay. Now we move on to in the same syllabus, bone. Okay, the bone already told you it's a connective tissue. Already we discussed that one, connective tissue here. Right, the inside of the bone, it looks like this here. This is called osteocytes. Already I told you, nerve, basic unit of the nerve is called neuron. Yeah, the cell or the parent neuron. Whereas here, site, already I told you what is site. Site means cell. Osteo means bone. Site means cell, bone cells. These dots are called osteocytes. This osteocytes forms the one unit called osteon. Okay, there are number of osteons in each bone. Okay, there are 206 bones. I mean 7th standard class again. Second thing is osteocyte, a star-shaped cell of bone, that the bone cell. Right, and now look at this example, a typical example of long bone. Typical example of long bone. In the long bone, it's a long bone because it looks long. That's a long bone. There are different types of bones. Sometimes they ask you types of bone. Okay, long bone, just opposite to this long bone, short bone. Some bones are flat in nature. I think next slide will come. Some bones are, we can't show any shape. We should not describe it in any shape. That's called irregular bones. Okay. For typical bones contain these kind of properties will be there in the bone. The middle portion is called diaphysis. The both edge position called epiphysis. Okay. Here, this is called, I told you, the cartilage. I told you, some connecting function just now. The cartilage, and the bone contains inside the epiphysis has this spongy bone, two epiphysis, and inside of the bone we find marrow, bone marrow. The bone marrow is the production site of the red blood cells and white blood cells. You can see here yellow marrow. Here you can find the red marrow. Yellow marrow, production site of white blood cells, and red marrow is responsible for the production of the red blood cells. Now you should remember, draw a neat structure of bone. You have to put this kind of structure. This is diaphysis, epiphysis, and the internal part there is a canal. It's a medullary cavity. In that cavity contains the marrows. At the diaphysis we can see yellow marrow, and the epiphysis we can find the red marrow. This yellow marrow and red marrow is responsible for the production of the white blood cells as well as the red blood cells. And you should remember, this bone is a highly vascularized tissue. That means which has a lot of blood vessel inside. You can see here. Right. These are some types of bone. This is a head bone, is a flat bone. Some, if you phalanges, tarsal bones, these called short bones. Sesamoid bones. In the patella, a best example for the sesamoid bone is the patella. And this is a long bone, like the femur or femur. This is a spine bone, like irregular shape. So if they ask you in question different types of bone, flat bone, short bone, long bone, sesamoid bone, and irregular bone. Now look at the function. That gives supporting function, and the protection function involves in the movement. And the main important function of bone is mineral storage. Okay, most of the calcium, the other phosphorus, and many minerals are stored in the bone. Okay, whenever we need important minerals for any body function, they take it from the reservoir. That reservoir is bone. Okay, the osteoporosis. Sometime you might heard that after some 40-45 years, women, they might have this kind of problem, osteoporosis. When the calcium needs, the body takes calcium from the bones, so there is a pores happens. That's what osteoporosis. And it is bone involves in the hematopoiesis. Hematopoiesis means just the production of the blood cells, red blood cells and white blood cells. Right, we move on to the joint now. Clear? Right, joint is articulation between two bones or articulation site of two or more bones. They used to say like that. Articulation of two or more, articulation site of two or more bones, where two bones are meeting together, right? And these bones are connected by the one particular structure. Already we discussed ligaments. Okay, mostly bone attached to another bone with the help of ligaments, another structure. Okay, and they are classified. There are many number of joints here. They are classified anatomical structure, classified based on the anatomical structure. But there are a number of kinesiological classification are there. The biomechanical classification also is there. Now we are looking at in the heading of anatomy physiology, in anatomical structure of the classification, right? The first one is called fibrous joint. A fibrous joint, two bones are connected by a very thin fiber materials. Okay, they have very compactly connecting with one another, so that the movement is not allowed in this bone. I mean, this joint. Like your skull. Okay, skull is a frontal bone, temporal bone, like that, flat bones. Those joints never allows any movement in the joint structure, because it is bound by the fibrous tissue. Sometimes these fibrous joints called immovable joint in kinesiology. Okay, they never allows any movement. The second thing is cartilaginous joint. Cartilaginous joint. Already I told you there is a connective tissue that connects bone to bone by cartilage, one kind of connective tissue. Okay. In this particular site, there is a slight movement is possible, partial movement is possible. So it is called cartilaginous joint. But and the other type is synovial joint. This synovial joint is a freely movable joint. You can find anywhere, or elbow joint, or wrist joint, or neck joint, shoulder joint, hip joint, or ankle joint. Everything comes under the synovial joint. Okay, why they call it synovial joint here? If you see this picture, you can see that this is a typical example of synovial joint. So there is a two bone here, and there is a capsule. This capsule filled with the synovial fluid, that is called synovial fluid. Okay, the synovial fluid, and there is a bursa, and this is the tendon connecting muscle to the bone. This capsule contains the fluid called synovial fluid. Okay, and this cavity called synovial cavity. This is a typical example of synovial joint. Right, there are different types of synovial joint. This classification, look at this. There is a major classification: fibrous joint, cartilaginous joint, and synovial joint. Those are the major classification. But this classification under the synovial joint, only synovial joint. Okay, synovial joint is a freely movable joint. A wide range of movements possible in that particular articulation site. But here only based on the mechanism of the movement, they classify into pivot joint here in the neck, and you can do the pivot movement left right. If you say no, you are making that movement. No, that is called pivot. Hinge joint, like elbow joint. You see the elbow joint and the knee joints are hinge joint, like how the hinge joins the door with the other structure, the hinge joint. Another one is saddle joint. The saddle joint is like what saddle in the horse. That is the structure here. And the gondoloid joint. It's same like a ball and socket joint, but very limited movement is allowed in the thumb. You can see it in the metatarsal. Okay. And this is a ball and socket joint. Ball and socket joint present in the shoulder joint, and hip joint is the best example for the ball and socket joint. Right. You should remember the types of synovial joint: pivot joint, hinge joint, saddle joint, ball and socket joint, gondoloid joint. And the plane joint, that means two flat bones are joining together. It's called plane joint, flat surface. Like in the wrist, you can say tarsal bones. Right. If you have any doubt, you can ask. This is the way you have to present yourself in the examination. I'm just make it only for the examination purpose here, right?
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Fibrous joint மட்டும்
Fibrous joint is you mean another type, one type of connective tissue, fibrous. Okay, fibers.
தமிழ்லயே சொல்லுங்க சார்.
தமிழ்ல சொல்லணுமா? ஃபைபர்ஸ்னா நம்ம கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூல பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஃபைபரஸ் கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூ ஒன்று பார்த்துக்கோம் இல்லையா, லூஸ் கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூ ஒன்று பார்த்துக்கோம், டென்ஸ் கனெக்டிவ் டிஷ்யூ பார்த்துருக்கோம் இல்லையா. அந்த ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் வந்து ரெண்டு போனை ஒன்னா சேர்த்து வச்சிருக்கோம், வெரி டைட்டா பிடிச்சிருக்கும் அது. ஓகேவா? நம்ம ஸ்கல் போனை பாத்தீங்கன்னா நிறைய ஸ்கல்ல வந்து பிளாட் போன்ஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த ரெண்டு போன் ஒன்று டைட்டா இருக்கும், சூச்சர் ஷேப்ல இருக்கும். அதனால என்ன இருக்குன்னா அதுல மூவ்மெண்ட் வந்து அலோவ் பண்ணாது. மோஸ்ட்லி இந்த ஜாயிண்ட் இருக்கும், ரெண்டு போன் ஜாயின் இருக்கும். பட் அந்த இடத்துல என்ன இருக்காதுன்னா மூவ்மெண்ட் இருக்காது. ஓகேவா? அதான் நம்மளோட அந்த ஃபைபரஸ் ஜாயிண்டோட நேச்சர். பட் கனெக்டிங் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் இஸ் the fiber connecting two bones. அதாங்க நீங்க தெரிஞ்சுக்க வேண்டியது. ரைட்?
ஓகே.
Any other question? Examination point of view. Again, an overview, just this. See this. This is the way you have to present yourself in the drawing of your cell. Okay. அதுல என்னென்ன ப்ராப்பர்ட்டிஸ் இருக்குன்றத மட்டும் பார்த்துக்கோங்க அதுல. Right, I play this video again. If you want, you can see that. Same thing available in YouTube also. I'm sorry. Voice கேக்குதா?
இல்ல சார்.
வாய்ஸ் கேக்கல?
இல்ல சார்.
கேக்கல.
Audible for me.
கேக்குதா?
Yes, கேக்குது சார்.
ரொம்ப லோவா இருக்கு சார்.
Right, வாய்ஸ் கேக்கலன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். வாய்ஸ் கேக்குதா?
நோ சார்.
வாய்ஸ் கேக்கல?
No sir.
No,
Right,
sir. No, sir.
right. Because I need to share with other way. Okay, it's not only I'm sharing the desktop so that you are unable to hear the sound. Okay, I'll play it little later. So this video is readily present. I mean, available in the biology. Now look at that top biology, cell structure, the nucleus media. Okay, nucleus media. I should give the credit to the nucleus media. Already available, more than 2 million views are there already. You can go and see that one. Okay. Right, I'll explain here. It's a endoplasmic reticulum. So endoplasmic reticulum transporting the protein synthesized by the ribosome. This ribosome
Thank you.
forms as a vesicle and moves.
I'll be probably not sure.
This vesicle joins with the Golgi apparatus. In the Golgi apparatus, the protein moves received from the vesicles and they are customized as usable. And folding it and adding other material, lipid and carbohydrate. Okay, glycoprotein or lipoproteins. Right. Someone asked me is the cilia, no? Someone asked me some cilia. Now look at this. You can understand what is cilia is here. This is called cilia. Mostly involves in the trap the some particles when we are inhaling. the dust and other things are trapped in this particular things. This is called flagella. And the only human cell has the flagella is sperm cell. Right. Any doubt? Any more doubts? Madam?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Chat box மட்டும் open பண்ணுங்க.
Hi. It is already open, sir.
Open.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Doubt இருக்காதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன் mostly.
Sir, this is Venkat. A small doubt, not related to subject.
Okay.
This is for the first some.
Wait. I'll give you another 30 minutes to ask other related questions. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Any question related to the subject you can ask. Now look at this picture. I mean, anatomy physiology, unit number 1. Now you just, ask yourself, are you very clear with this? Tissue, cell structure, group of tissue, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, and their functions. In skeletal system, you should know bones, joints, muscle, skeleton, tendons, and the ligaments, and their function. This is MSc syllabus. Unit number 1 over. Any doubt in unit number 1, you can ask. Next class, we'll go with the unit number 2.
Sir, epithelial tissue.
Epithelial tissue. Remember epithelial tissue or epithelium. Anyway, right, please.
Okay. Forms of cavity
Forms in the cavity. Forms in the cavity. அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நம்ம வாயிலாம் இருக்கு இல்லையா, அந்த வாய் வந்து ஒரு கேவிட்டி. ஐங்கிறது ஒரு கேவிட்டி. பாடியில நிறைய கேவிட்டிஸ், thoracic கேவிட்டி, நிறைய கேவிட்டிஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த கேவிட்டிஸ்ல வந்து நம்ம மவுத்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா நம்ம வாயில இருக்கிற அந்த அவுட்டர் லேயர் இருக்கு இல்லையா, அவுட்டர் லேயர் formed by the epithelial tissue. இன்னர்ல அதுக்கு உள்ள கீழ வந்து நிறைய மசில்ஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்குது, பட் மேல இருக்கிறது வந்து epithelial. அதான் என்ன சொல்றாங்க, forms the cavity or giving coating to the cavities அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு வார்த்தை யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. அதுல வேற ஒண்ணு, giving lining, ஒரு லைனிங் கொடுக்கும். நம்ம பெயிண்ட் அடிச்சு செவுத்துல பெயிண்ட் அடிச்சு ஒரு லைனிங் கொடுக்கறோம் இல்லையா, அந்த மாதிரி.
ஆமா சார்.
அந்த
ஓகே, தேங்க்ஸ்.
யாரு வந்தாலும் வராதீங்க, 10 நாள் வந்தானா அடுத்த நாள் வந்தானா என்ன லீவ்.
Right, someone speaking there. Right, any question? எல்லாத்துக்குமே சேம் தான், பட் அவங்களோட அந்த சிலபஸ் வந்து anatomy physiology எல்லாருக்குமே காமனா இருக்கு. ஓகேவா? பட் சிலபஸோட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் யூனிட் மோஸ்ட்லி ஸ்டார்ட்ஸ் வித் தி செல் cytology or some other related things. Okay, but கொஞ்சம் BSc கொஞ்சம் இதோட கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்ட்ராவா இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன், கொஞ்சம் பேசிக் திங்ஸ். பட் இதுல அவங்க மோஸ்ட்லி புரிஞ்சுப்பாங்க, புரியுதா இல்லையா? அதுக்காக சொன்னது, வேற ஒண்ணும் இல்ல.
ஓகே சார், थैंक यू.
எல்லாருக்குமே காமன் தான் இது, இந்த சப்ஜெக்ட். These materials ஒரு 7th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்க்கு புக் வாங்கி பாத்தீங்கன்னா எல்லாமே இருக்கும், உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப ஈஸி டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட். நீங்க பெரிய புக்ல ஒன்னு வாங்கி படிக்கணும்னு அவசியம் இல்ல. யூடியூப்ல நிறைய வீடியோஸ் ஆர் தேர், பட் ஆர்கனைஸ் யுவர்செல்ஃப் வாட் டு ரைட் இன் எக்ஸாமினேஷன். நிறைய இருக்கும். சப்போஸ் பாத்தீங்கன்னா திஸ் அன்னோன் திங்ஸ் நிறைய இருக்கு, இதுல இன்னும் டீப்பர் திங்ஸ் நிறைய இருக்கும். செல் எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா ஜெனடிக் மெட்டீரியல்ஸ் போனீங்கன்னா டீப்பா போயிட்டு இருக்கும், குரோமோசோம்ஸ் போயிட்டு இருக்கும், அதுக்குள்ள இருக்கிற ஜீன் போயிட்டு இருக்கும் இல்லையா. அதுக்கு பிறகு இந்த டிஎன்ஏ டைப்ஸ் டிஃபரெண்டா இருக்கும், அது ஹவ் இட் கோடட் அப்படிங்கறதெல்லாம் இருக்கும். கஷ்டமா இருக்கும் படிக்கிறதுக்கு, But இப்ப நான் சொன்ன மெத்தட கொஞ்சம் ஃபாலோ பண்ணீங்கன்னா easy to organize yourself to write examination. Not the non-science background people நான் மெயினா சொல்றேன்.
Felix sir,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you so much, sir. Beautifully explained. Bala, Devi Bala here.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Right. I hope you are very clear so that no doubts comes. Okay. Actually, I want to make two more announcements here. Okay. One thing is your fees structure, fees details. Already I have sent you some ஒரு ஃபார்ம் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன். அதுல நீங்க வந்து ஒரு 40 பேர் தான் அதுல வந்து அதுல ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. Whether you are paid or unpaid, no problem. You just fill the form and leave it to us so that we can understand you are attending the class. Okay. We are not forcing you to make any payment now. We are not at all forcing you. Clear? So we'll give you more time to make a payment, but let us know whether you paid or unpaid. That's one thing we need. Just we'll get information. Okay. So fill that form and leave it to us. One thing. Second, next evening we have 3 o'clock class. 2 o'clock varavena. You join at 2:55. Come with practical. Suitable dress. Madam going to give you another practical session to you. Yoga. Right. Now,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Right. If any other question other than the subject, you can ask now. Till 12, I'll finish 12 o'clock. Okay, 5 minutes more. I'll give 12. I'll finish this class at 12 o'clock. To have early lunch. I mean, before 12:30, so that you can have enough time to do some practical before 3 p.m. That's what we are leaving today. By 12 o'clock.
Sir, we need to see you, sir.
In what in the picture?
sir.
I mean in a video.
Yes, sir.
So these four are the main types of a wave.
Yeah, this is Felix. Okay, you may not see me now. You can see for another 5 minutes. Okay, any question you can ask me.
When is the likely exam month for this subject?
No, that's why I'm telling you. We are only study center. Whatever the university communicate tests will tell you. Okay, we'll facilitate the thing. Okay, university does not give any idea now. No, it depends the government announcements.
Okay.
Examination.